We've all heard the story of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt and through the wilderness, but what evidence do we actually have? Is there anything that we can see today that confirms what Scripture tells us? Welcome to part 3 of Proof of the Bible. Today we are going to be looking at the Exodus, and we're going to be focusing on events surrounding Mount Sinai. For the sake of time, in this video we are focusing on the events surrounding Mount Sinai, but it is worth mentioning by that time, Moses and the Israelites had already witnessed multiple miracles. God had already parted the Red Sea for them, closed it up over Pharaoh and his army, in addition to raining down manna and quail from heaven. So I just wanted to quickly mention that when we go to the bottom of the Red Sea, guess what we find? Chariot wheels and axles. So again, proof that this event did happen. Okay, so moving on, Exodus 17 tells us they camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink. Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" I like visuals. So here's Egypt. This is the path that the Israelites and Moses took, and down here is where they're currently at. This is Rephidim and Mount Sinai. Moses says, "What am I supposed to do with these people? They're already ready to stone me." God answered him, "Go out in front of the people. Take with you some of the elders and take in your hand the staff in which you struck the Nile. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock and water will come out of it for the people to drink." God is so good. Keep in mind, the Israelites had already witnessed so many miracles. God had literally parted the Red Sea for them, rained down manna and quail, and they have the audacity to come and complain to Moses, and God is still gracious with them and provides water. We go to this area today. Guess what we find? A rock that has been split. Not only that, there is proof of water grooves in the rock and coming down the mountain. Here's another visual of the area, and the cool thing is this is not fenced off, so you can go and visit this. And how amazing would it be to go and touch the rock that God used himself to perform a miracle? Next, we're going to talk about the evidence on Mount Sinai itself. So here in Exodus 19, just 2 chapters later, on the morning of the 3rd day, there was thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. I can't even imagine what that scene would have been like. The Bible again proves itself to be true. Here, Mount Sinai, the only mountaintop, by the way, in the entire area that has a burnt layer. Another view. Now this is a little blurry, but it's worth mentioning here. So when researchers go to the area and they remove these top layer of rocks here, it does reveal a lighter colored rock that is not burnt, and it's also the same color rock that is at the lower layer. So it's very clearly showing that this top layer was consumed by fire at some point. Moving right along to Exodus 24, he got up early the next morning, talking about Moses, and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent young Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to the Lord. Just like Scripture tells us, guess what? At the base of the mountain, we see the remnants of an altar. An aerial view of it. Here, this one, here's the altar, and you will see the memorial stones that he set up for the 12 tribes of Israel. Here's a close-up of these stones, and again, these are in the exact spot the Bible tells us that they are, and there are exactly 12. Better view. Stones, altar. It doesn't stop at just the altar. Next to it, we see evidence of the entire system in place that would have been needed for Moses and the Israelites to make the sacrifices. So here we have a dry riverbed, which they used obviously the water to cleanse the animals. And here is what's left of what would have been corrals to house the animals. In addition, when researchers and archaeologists, when they dig here, they do find a lot of burnt animal bones. The close-up of the altar that I forgot to put earlier, I just think it's so cool that even this much is still standing. Now, while Moses was on the mountain for 40 days while God was writing the 10 Commandments, Aaron and the Israelites built up a golden calf altar, and we see evidence of this here. Here's where the real evidence comes in for that. All over these rocks on this altar are images of golden calves. Another one, even more. I just have to interject how absolutely insane it is to me that after the Israelites had watched miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle, and not just little miracles, these were in your face, powerful proof of God, Moses leaves them for 40 days to go get the 10 Commandments, and they have the audacity to build this calf. This altar is actually fenced off and it is labeled. So with the drawings and everything, everybody is pretty certain that this is where Aaron and the Israelites did worship that calf. God did instruct many of the Israelites that were involved in this worship of the golden calf to be unalived. And again, we see proof of that. There is a massive graveyard with tombstones. A close-up, and they are all over this area. There was about 3,000 people that were unalived due to this. And we see again, evidence of it. In addition to all this evidence, I did forget to mention that on these 12 memorial stones, there is Hebrew writing. We have concrete evidence of the Bible and its amazing stories everywhere we look. And it is so sad that we live in a world that still refuses to believe that the Bible is God's true written word.